Good morning, Eric. Or afternoon. Things are on 2 here. Which does mean that it's 11 there. So as of right now, it is still technically morning. But anyway, these questions that we've been doing are a lot more fun than discussing my own life. So, in here I will answer yours and come up with more for you. But before I figure, I'll summarize the highlights of my last couple of days. Which would be, I found another nerd fighter on campus. Awesome. We had a health inspector come into the dining hall, and my roommate and I decided that she looked like Dolores Umbridge. And I'm growing up. In my seminar, one of the groups, we brought like garden-y things in, so we all are growing some plants in like styrofoam cups, which seems rather counterintuitive, but whatever. And so I have a tiny little sprig of carrot that's popped out of the ground, so that's exciting. Is that the second time I've already used exciting? Doesn't bode well. And roommate and I also went to watch Legion last night. Don't. Just don't. Paul Bettany's letting me down. First the Da Vinci Code, now this thing. Ugh. That poor man. Anyway, so, answering questions. In the confines of the luggage room. We'll see what I can do. My guilt-free 3 would be obviously David Tennant, Paul Bettany despite his recent acting gigs, and Shaber. One thing that I wish I didn't know. That's such a silly question. Why would you not want to know things? I think I'd rather know the truth. Unless the falsehood is more interesting. I will take an interesting falsehood over a boring truth. There's not really anything that I know that I wouldn't want to know. What would be my worst day? Well, I can handle the big things, but it's those days when all the little things just pile up that just kill me. People not listening to me, I stub my toe, I get a bad grade, I'm criticized, there's crappy weather, all those sorts of things mashed into one. If I were a punctuation mark, what would I be? I would be a semicolon. Oh, I would be a semicolon. I am damned useful, but so few people know how to properly utilize or appreciate me. I'm allowed to use 4 words to communicate for the rest of my life. Now what are they? Trying to think of words that are necessary, but too abstract for easy gesticulation. At this point in life, I talk about the doctor so much that doctor would have to be one of them. Yes, no, I can mime all those pretty easily. Ooh, perhaps my name. That's a problem Ariel had a lot when she couldn't talk. Drawing on my week of silence, the only thing I can recall having trouble communicating was the word mother, since a recognizable pair of ovaries my fingers do not make. And I need one more thing. Perhaps some curse word, just for good measure. We'll stick with that. What book do you remember having read to you as a child? This kind of sounds pathetic, but I can't actually remember being read out loud to when I was a kid. I remember the first books I read on my own. And I'm sure my parents read to me, but the only books that I can remember having read to me were a couple of cassettes that we kept in the van. And they had read-along books, and so we played those all the time. What am I most vain about? That's kind of a broad question. Are you referring to my physical body, my physical appearance? In which case, that would be my hands. What's my favorite baked good? That would be a toss-up between half-baked chocolate chip cookies and half-baked brownies when they're still really, really gooey, like almost thread of salmonella gooey. Who would be the European king to my queen? Frankly, I wouldn't expect the king to be there very often. Always off gallivanting on crusade or just some general other quest for land. I do have a soft spot for Frederick II of Germany, since He was all into culture and language and music, and he just kind of let Germany hang in favor of Italy, which I thought was great. But then if that's how he treats his own country, would he just let me hang too, as soon as he found somebody else he preferred? When I'm dead, what do I want done with my body? When I'm dead, I want to go to science. Let them harvest my organs, dissect me for some good cause. I'm not going to need my body, so works for me. It's just an empty husk as far as I'm concerned. What would my medieval autopsy reveal? Assuming we're sticking to the heart, I'm certainly no gold-scribed, saint. Gold-scribed saint. That sounds catchy. But neither am I a hairy-hearted thief. So I'm difficult, but I think I'm worth it if you stick things out in the end. So maybe my heart would be like a chestnut, and it'd have a nice bit of meaty flesh on the inside that's perfect for roasting. If I were a movie villain, what would I be? This took me a lot of thought. And in the end, I'm sure there's probably a better fitting one out there. But as of right now, I would go along with Hades from the Hercules animated movie. Because he's witty, and he's smart, and he's conniving, and he did get the raw end of the deal when it came to divvying up the land and earth and whatnot. Is one of my boobs larger than the other? I am glad you asked that, Eric. But I'm actually not sure, because when they're this little, then you don't really notice any discrepancies. I can, however, tell you that my left ear is higher than my right. I've become a product and I need a slogan. Kinda depends on what the product is. Or perhaps not. Could just use a universal slogan for whatever product I become or whatever products I may annex. I got a slogan like, cleverer than you're mean. Which is clever because it'd be cleverer than your average something or other. But everybody uses average, so use the mathematical word for mean instead, which is pretty much, if not exactly, the same thing. But I think it just loses all its cleverosity if I have to explain it. What is your greatest virtue? This would be biblically, right? That means I have to think of the virtues. Humility. Yeah, that's out of the park automatically. Got kindness and patience, but they're kind of too similar to bother with, so they're kind of out. Chastity's out. Charity happens, but I don't think it's such an overwhelming part of my personality to be like a reigning virtue, which would leave diligence and temperance. And that would depend on the day. Right now, I think I'm in a temperance sort of day. If I were a polygamist, which side would I be? That's not even a question. I'm jealous, I'm possessive, I don't like to share my people, you know this. I would be the one with all the husbands. And now I've got some more questions for you. If you lived in a rainforest, where would you live? Like, would you be on the canopy? Would you be in the ground level?
What is your favorite spice?
What would you want written on your tombstone? If you were a cliché, which would you be? What is the last furry thing you touched? What is the longest period of time you ever went without taking a bath, shower, or any sort of cleansing ritual? You've got the world on a string. What would you do to keep it safe? You have to pin some sort of vegetable to your lapel. Which would you pin? What is your quirkiest habit, and where and when did it originate? Which of the four humors would you be? What is your favorite song right now, and why? What sorts of imaginary adventures and friends do you have as a kid? Or now, for that matter? What's the first thing you wash in the shower? Using 7 nouns, describe yourself. You're creating a society. What is your very first rule? Do you have any ritual that you do every day? If so, what is it? What kind of monkey do you think is the softest? Cheers.